Hello YouTube. Robert Alvarez, the Psychic Witch, also known as Mr. Lighting and a Fan. It's been a while since I've done a booktube video, or as the expression of the day is, it's been a minute. It's certainly been longer than a minute, but you know what I mean. So I am so thrilled with, I just got to tell you, I really am enchanted and mesmerized by the Moonfall Saga by James Rollins. And I did a video about reading the Starless Crown, and just sweeping, majestic, epic. And the interesting thing is that I had never heard of James Rollins before the Starless Crown, which is the first in the Moonfall Saga. And I believe it's going to be a trilogy. I have a vague recollection of reading something on his website that indicates that it's going to be a trilogy. But this is the second book in the Moonfall Saga, entitled The Cradle of Ice. And by the way, James Rollins is very well known for military thrillers. And of course I'm going to have Drake, more commonly known as my awesome audiovisual person for my YouTube videos, do a close-up of the cover of the book. I borrowed this from my local library. I actually remember seeing it at one of my local libraries while I was towards the end of the Starless Crown, and I was just like, Robert, I know you want to borrow it, but you're not ready yet, but finish this first and then come back for this, and that's exactly what I did. I want to read to you the synopsis. The second book in the New York Times best-selling Moonfall series from thriller master James Rollins, The Cradle of Ice is a page-turning tale of adventure, betrayal, ambition, and the struggle for survival in a harsh world that hangs by a thread. To stop the coming apocalypse, a fellowship was formed. A soldier, a thief, a lost prince, and a young girl bonded by fate and looming disaster. Each step along this path has changed the party, forging deep alliances and greater enmities. All the while, hostile forces have hunted them, fearing what they might unleash. Armies wage war around them. For each step has come with a cost, in blood, in loss, in heartbreak. Now they must split, traveling into a vast region of ice and to a sprawling capital of the world they've only known in stories. Time is running out, and only the truth will save us all. I am currently on Book 6, A Palace in Panic, and turning the page, the beginning of chapter 26. So I have been doing a little more savoring of this book. I'm pretty sure that once I'm, actually more than likely before I get to the halfway point, I might begin devouring this book. I am just mesmerized by it. I have been fascinated by the characters, their histories, their relationships to each other. You know, when I first read this, I didn't realize who the soldier was. I do now, of course. I was reminded when I began reading this book. But it is just mesmerizing and epic. I mean, I don't use the word epic lightly. In fact, I don't remember the last time that I used the word epic to describe anything, least of all a book. But truly, this series, this fantasy series, has mesmerized me, has enchanted me, has caused me to feel things. You know, there are passages in both books that have had me on the verge of tears. There are passages in these two books that have filled me with hope and with longing. There are passages in both of these books that have filled me with anger and rage and frustration. And there are passages that have fascinated me. You know, in its own way, this series has its own language. You know, one example is Earth. In this book, Earth is spelled capital U-R-T-H. And I love how the beginnings of each of the books are passages from books that were written in a part of this world, in a part of this this series of worlds. It's one planet that has these different kingdoms and countries, and it just fascinates me. It absolutely fascinates me. And when I read this particular one, just like when I was reading the Starless Crown, it's almost as if all of the other books I'm reading I put on the back burner. And the only other time that happened was when I began reading the In-Depth series of novels by J.D. Robb, who's more commonly known as Nora Roberts. So it fascinates me that when I begin reading this book and its predecessor, The Starless Crown, it's like, A Starless Crown. I'm like, am I reading other books? I don't think so. I don't know. But yeah, I highly recommend this series of novels, especially because it's fascinating. It's fascinating to learn about the different characters, their challenges, their struggles, their talents, their connections to other people, the friendships they have, the family relationships they have. Just so much beauty in these pages as well. Let me know in the comments if you are reading either The Starless Crown or The Cradle of Ice, or if you've read any of the other novels or nonfiction books written by James Rollins. I would love to hear that. And as always, a huge thank you to James Rollins for creating this epic and mesmerizing fantasy series, and of course to who's the publisher? I don't even know who's publishing this book. Tor Publishing Group for publishing this fantasy series, and of course to all of you in YouTube land. Thank you so much for all the likes, all the comments, all the shares, and all the subscriptions to my YouTube channel. And especially an extra big and ginormous thank you to all of you who have already availed yourselves of my psychic services, and to those of you who have scheduled your sessions. I wish all of you the happiest of holidays and the most prosperous and abundant and beautiful of New Years. Stay in tune with your intuition, stay safe, stay well, stay hydrated, and stay tuned for the next video.